Too soon? Examining Scott Robertson's All Blacks exit and the state of international rugby this week, the rugby world finds itself divided. In New Zealand, the dust is settling after the shock sacking of Scott Robertson, while across Europe, tension is mounting as teams jockey for position in the Six Nations and Champions Cup. The question many are asking, too soon, resonates in multiple ways. Usually it's thrown at a poorly timed joke or controversial comment. In Robertson's case, it's aimed squarely at New Zealand Rugby's board for ending his tenure after just 2 years at the helm. Robertson's tenure. A roller coaster. Scott Robertson's departure has split opinion in much the same way as his appointment. During his record-breaking run with the Crusaders, Robertson exuded control, confidence, and a clear vision for the team. With the All Blacks, that aura rarely translated. The past 2 years have been turbulent. Assistant coaches came and went, leaving cryptic soundbites behind. Internal disagreements in the setup became evident, and the team often looked inconsistent, at times rudderless, at others seemingly unstoppable. A recurring theme has been uncertainty over the starting 15. Frequent tinkering meant the team never fully resembled the seamless, dominant side of the previous generation. Defensively, New Zealand appeared vulnerable to direct, physical pressure, weaknesses brutally exposed when South Africa ran in 43 unanswered points in Wellington last year and again during the Twickenham defeat in November. Yet despite these blemishes, Robertson's win ratio of 74% is far from poor. Context matters. 2 years is a short window, especially considering a significant turnover in the squad after the 2023 World Cup. The likes of Sam Whitelock, Sam Cane, Aaron Smith, Richie Amoanga, Mark Teloe, Brodie Retallick, and Shannon Frizzell were no longer part of the equation. Robertson was working with a largely fresh group, many of whom were adjusting to international rugby pressures. Building a culture amid resistance, key challenge for Robertson was fostering a culture similar to that seen in South Africa under Rassie Erasmus. The Springboks' post-World Cup evolution has been praised for embedding a system of talent development, instilling a collective mindset, and producing players ready for the rigors of Test rugby. Robertson attempted something comparable, positioning himself as a culture coach and lobbying for the Ghetto Rule to include overseas players in the squad. However, those initiatives met resistance. The New Zealand rugby establishment appeared uncomfortable with the changes, and there's evidence that some players were equally skeptical. The result was a disconnect between coach, players, and board, a factor that contributed to inconsistent performances under pressure. It's worth remembering that timing and context matter in New Zealand rugby. Previous bold moves, like Graham Henry's tenure post, 2007, took time to yield results, creating an unprecedented era of dominance. Robertson may have simply not been given that luxury. Perhaps he resisted feedback, perhaps the board saw a disconnect that couldn't be bridged, or perhaps he felt there was nothing to fix. The big call 2 years may feel remarkably short, but New Zealand Rugby's board clearly decided that a new direction was necessary. With Robertson gone, the next appointment carries enormous weight. The All Blacks are at a crossroads. Maintain continuity with a calculated risk or reset entirely with a fresh voice. Rumors suggest Robertson may not be finished with top-level rugby. His next stop could be England, potentially at Harlequins, not Twickenham, due to a carefully constructed restraint of trade clause, but at a smaller venue nearby. That environment could allow him to integrate into a new squad, assess emerging talent, and prepare for matches against elite teams like England. England, strength in depth English rugby, is currently riding a wave of optimism. The recent European fixtures highlighted the depth across premiership squads, with standout performances from players outside the national team's immediate selection pool. Saracens showed they can grind down top opposition like Toulouse, but also revealed inconsistency when beaten by Glasgow. Northampton's talented cohort made a statement against Bordeaux Beagles. While injuries have tested England's front row, a key component in Steve Borthwick's planning. This depth and versatility suggest England could make a significant statement in the Six Nations. While Ireland's provincial sides, led by Leinster, are stabilizing after a patchy few seasons, Scotland remains hampered by limited squad depth. France, despite their talent, is dealing with recurring injuries and selection dilemmas, particularly at fly half, where Matthew Jalibert could return to fill gaps created by Romain Tamek's absence. If Robertson were to observe this from his prospective new role, he would witness a highly competitive landscape, a mixture of emerging stars, tactical innovation, and untested cohesion. England, having arguably delivered the decisive blow to Robertson's All Blacks tenure in November, now represents both a challenge and an opportunity. Lessons learned. Scott Robertson's brief tenure offers broader lessons for international rugby. Winning percentages, while important, are not the only metric. Leadership, culture building, and alignment across the squad and board are critical. A coach's ability to embed a vision while navigating resistance from players and administrators is as important as on-field results. New Zealand Rugby's decision underscores the unforgiving nature of elite international rugby. Coaches operate in an environment where small margins define careers. Robertson's efforts to innovate, from culture shifts to potential rule lobbying, were bold, but the system and timing may not have allowed them to flourish. Looking forward, with Robertson potentially moving to England and the All Blacks preparing for a new era, the rugby world watches keenly. The next All Blacks coach will inherit a squad rich in talent, but needing direction and clarity. Meanwhile, England, France, Ireland, and other Six Nations teams are shaping their campaigns, testing squad depth and building momentum. For Robertson, a move to Harlequins could provide a controlled environment to rebuild, experiment, and observe the top-level European game. For New Zealand Rugby, the choice of a successor represents a decisive turning point, one that could define the team's trajectory for the next World Cup cycle. In the end, 2 years may feel too short to judge a coach fully, especially one as innovative and ambitious as Scott Robertson. But in the fast-moving, high-pressure world of international rugby, boards and fans alike demand results. And when those results falter, decisions are swift, public, and uncompromising. The question of too soon will linger, but for now, New Zealand Rugby has made its move, and the next chapter begins.